It started with the light, a pale, bluish glow that cut through my curtains at exactly 3:07 a.m. I remember because my alarm clock's red digits looked almost swallowed by it. For a moment, I thought it was the street light outside until I realized it was moving. I sat up, confused, half asleep, and turned toward the window. The glow was soft but unnatural, like moonlight passing through water. It shimmered for a second, then settled. I rubbed my eyes and peered closer. That's when I saw the outline of a face. It wasn't pressed to the glass like someone peeking in, but suspended just outside hovering, faint and slightly distorted, as though the air itself was bending around it. I remember freezing, my mind scrambling for a logical reason. Reflection? Hallucination? Sleep paralysis? But I could move, and when I blinked, it was still there. The shape grew clearer. Eyes, a mouth. The features seemed to slide in and out of place, like wax softening under heat. I remember the way the jawline drooped slightly, the mouth stretching longer than it should, and something wet dripping from where the nose should have been. I wanted to scream, but the sound stuck in my throat. My chest ached from holding my breath. And then, it smiled. Not wide, just a faint, trembling curve of the lips. But it was enough to paralyze me. I yanked the blanket over my head, every nerve in my body screaming. I lay there until the room brightened with morning light, sweating and shaking, convincing myself I'd dreamt the whole thing. When I finally looked again, the window was fogged over. On the glass, faintly traced by a finger or something like it, were 4 words. I saw you too. For the next few nights, I tried to convince myself that what I'd seen was a trick of light. Maybe I'd been dreaming with my eyes open. Maybe my mind was just playing games after too many sleepless nights. That's what I told myself until Thursday morning. I was brushing my teeth, staring into the bathroom mirror, when I noticed something strange. My reflection wasn't moving right. My hand moved up, but in the mirror, it hesitated just a split second too late. I blinked, leaned closer. My breath fogged the glass. Then it smiled. I didn't. It was small, almost imperceptible, a twitch at the corner of my mouth, but it was enough to send a cold shiver through me. I dropped the toothbrush and stepped back. My heart was pounding so loud it drowned out everything else. I ran my fingers across the surface of the mirror, half expecting to feel warmth or moisture or something that would tell me it was real. But it was cold, smooth, ordinary. When I looked again, my reflection was normal. That night, I left the bathroom light on. Over the next few days, little things started to change. I'd catch glimpses of my face in darkened windows, distorted, blurred, like it was melting and reforming. Sometimes my reflection was a fraction slower. Other times the eyes weren't quite aligned. Once, I caught it blinking when I didn't. By the 4th night, I couldn't look into mirrors at all. I covered the one in my bedroom with a towel. I even turned my phone screen face down, because every time it went dark, I thought I saw something looking back at me. Something wet, pale, and soft. On Saturday, I was video calling my friend Mia. We were laughing about something stupid when she suddenly stopped mid-sentence, her face dropping. "Elena, who's behind you?" I froze. "There's no one here." She frowned, confused. "I swear I just saw someone." The window. I spun around, but the curtains were drawn. Nothing there. When I turned back, Mia looked pale. "Never mind," she whispered. "It's gone." We didn't talk much after that. Later that night, I decided to prove to myself I was imagining it. I opened my phone camera, switched to selfie mode, and aimed it toward the covered mirror. I was shaking, but I forced myself to pull the towel down. For a moment, everything looked normal. Just me, tired and terrified. Then, slowly, my reflection's eyes began to melt. Not close shut, not blink melt. The skin around them sagged, and slipped downward, pooling near the chin. The mouth stretched wider, opening as if to scream, but no sound came. I dropped the phone. When I picked it up again, the screen was cracked black lines running across a frozen image of my face. Only it wasn't my face anymore. It was his. By Monday, I hadn't slept in nearly 2 days. Every reflection, every surface seemed to hold a shadow that wasn't mine. I'd stopped answering calls, stopped opening the blinds. My world had shrunk down to the dim yellow glow of my living room lamp. That afternoon, around 3, the doorbell rang. The sound made me jump so hard I almost dropped my cup. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I checked the peephole, no one was there. Just the pale winter sunlight and the quiet hum of the neighborhood. I should have ignored it, but something drew me to the window. I peeked through a tiny gap in the curtain and froze. Standing at the edge of my yard, half hidden behind the maple tree, was a figure. It was facing me. At first, I thought it was a man, maybe. But the longer I stared, the less sense it made. The shape was wrong. The head seemed to tilt too far to one side, like it couldn't hold its own weight. The skin, or what looked like skin, was sagging, glistening in the sunlight like wax left too close to a flame. And the face? It was melting. I could see parts of it dripping, slow and thick, onto the collar of what used to be a shirt. The features slid and reformed, slipping downward and pulling back up as if invisible hands were trying to rebuild it. I stumbled backward, knocking over a lamp. My breath came in short, panicked bursts. When I dared to look again, it had moved closer now, standing at the fence line. I couldn't see its eyes, but I felt them. Heavy, focused, like they were studying me, memorizing me. Then it raised its hand, not to wave, not to reach, just to touch the air in front of it, as if feeling the invisible wall between us. The fingers left streaks of something dark and viscous behind, like tar, and where they touched, the wooden fence began to smoke. That smell, burning plastic, rotting sweetness, it filled the whole room even though the windows were shut. I gagged and ran for the phone. My hands shook so badly, I could barely dial. When the police arrived 20 minutes later, the yard was empty. The only trace left was a smear of black residue on the fence, still faintly warm to the touch. One of the officers looked at me like I was insane. The other said maybe it was vandalism. They took a sample, promised to run some tests. I never heard back. That night, I found something on my window. 4 marks, perfectly spaced, pressed into the glass from the outside. They weren't fingerprints. They were longer, deeper, like something slid down the window slowly, melting as it went. And near the bottom, written in that same dark residue, was a single word: closer. I moved out 2 days later, packed everything I could fit into my car, and left the house without looking back. I told the landlord I was done. No notice, no deposit. I didn't care. I just needed to be away. My new apartment was small but bright, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. The walls were bare, the mirrors covered with sheets. I kept the curtains open just enough to let in daylight. I told myself sunlight meant safety. A few days later, I got an email from the property manager of my old house. He said the police had finished their tests and wanted me to pick up a copy of the home surveillance footage just to confirm nothing was stolen. I didn't want to, but curiosity is poison, and mine was already spreading. That night, I sat down with my laptop and opened the video files. There were 4 clips, each labeled with the same timestamp, 3:07 a.m. The first showed the front porch, snow falling gently, still empty. The second showed the backyard, nothing but darkness and the faint glow of the motion light. Then the third clip, the one facing my bedroom window. At first, it was just shadows, soft and grainy. Then the motion sensor light flicked on and something moved. a shape, standing just outside the window. Even in the low resolution, I could see it. The melting face, the drooping jaw, the eyes that looked like hollow pits filled with liquid. It wasn't doing anything, just standing there, perfectly still, watching. And then at exactly 3:08 it leaped forward. The skin on its face stretched like warm wax, pressing itself against the glass, leaving smears behind. My stomach turned. The figure tilted its head, almost curious. Then, in one slow, jerky movement, it lifted a finger and wrote something on the window. I could barely make it out through the static, but when I zoomed in, I saw the letters form the word. Inside, I slammed the laptop shut. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I told myself it was fake, some glitch, a trick of compression, but my body didn't believe it. Then my phone buzzed. A new notification, motion detected, living room camera. I didn't even remember setting up the camera in this apartment. My landlord must have installed it for safety. I opened the app with trembling hands. The live feed flickered on. The view was from the corner of the ceiling, facing the couch. I saw myself sitting right there, hunched over my laptop, and behind me, at the edge of the frame, something was standing. Its head tilted to the side, its face melting, folding inward like it was collapsing under its own weight. The mouth was moving, but the feed had no sound. I turned, but there was nothing there, just empty air and the faint reflection of my screen in the window. When I looked back at the phone, the figure was gone. Only one frame remained, frozen on the screen, a smear like melted skin against glass. And beneath it, in the corner of the feed, one new word appeared before the video cut to black. Found you. It's been 6 weeks since I moved again. A different city, a smaller apartment. No mirrors, no cameras, no reflections. I live like someone hiding from her own face. I keep the lights dim, the curtains half closed, and I sleep with the television on just to drown out the silence. Sometimes I think it's gone. For a few days, I can almost convince myself that it was stress or grief or some kind of psychotic break that no one noticed. Then, something small reminds me, like catching my reflection in the black surface of a turned-off screen. At first, it's just my outline. Then, slowly, the shape begins to move even though I haven't. The features soften, sink. The eyes melt first, then the mouth, until it's not me anymore. It's him. I've learned not to scream. Screaming makes it worse. The air thickens when I do, like the sound itself calls him closer. So I stay quiet. I watch. And every time I blink, the face comes a little nearer. I stopped using my phone camera after that night, but 2 days ago, I received a message from an unknown number. No text, just a video file named 3_7AMP4. I shouldn't have opened it, but curiosity is a disease that always wins. The footage was grainy dim. At first, I thought it was another old clip from my former apartment. The angle was identical. The couch, the lamp, the window behind me. But then I noticed something impossible. I was wearing the same clothes I had on that moment. The same gray sweater. The same loose braid. The same chipped mug beside my hand. It was live. In the video, I was sitting at my desk, just like now, staring at the screen. Slowly, a shadow began to form behind me, stretching, rising, taking shape. Its face drooped and glistened, a nightmare carving itself into the dark. The figure leaned close to my ear. I couldn't hear it, but the subtitles appeared across the bottom of the video, as if someone or something was translating for me. Now you see me too. The recording ended. I looked around my room. Nothing there. No shadow. No figure. But the window behind me was fogging over from the inside and through the condensation. A handprint began to appear, long fingers dragging slowly down the glass. I wiped it away, but it didn't smear. It sank into the surface, as though the glass itself was melting. That was 3 nights ago. Since then, the messages haven't stopped. The timestamps are always the same. 3:07 a.m. The subject line never changes. Look behind you. And I never do. Because the moment I finally turn around, I know he won't be outside anymore. He'll be right here, smiling through my reflection.